Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Chicago Bar Association Earl B Dickerson Award ceremony. I hope you are as excited as I am today. It is an honor and pleasure to be among some of the luminaries in the legal profession. My name is Mariam Ahmed, and I bring you greetings from the CBA's officers and board members. I have the privilege of serving as your president this bar year. It is an honor for me to welcome you to this year's celebration of the Earl B Dickerson Award. Earl Dickerson was an outstanding lawyer, and in 1945 was among the first African Americans to become a member of the Chicago Bar Association. The Dickerson Award was established by the CBA in 1990. It honors lawyers and judges whose career at the bar emulates the courage and dedication of Mr. Dickerson in making the law the key to justice for all of our society. Speaking of luminaries, I am pleased to turn this program over to our chair, the incomparable presiding judge of the 1st Municipal District, the Honorable E. Kenneth Wright, Jr.
Thank you, President Ahmad, for your kind and generous introduction. Not sure I deserve it all, but thank you. Let us pray, please. Gracious Father, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, we come today asking for your blessings. In this time where crime and violence run rampant in most of our cities, we ask you to rid this city, county, state, and nation of this pandemic. And with this coronavirus, we know nothing about it. Keep us safe as we receive instruction from our government. As we assemble virtually to execute the mandate that is before us, to virtually fellowship with our colleagues of every race, creed, and color. We only pass this way but once. Let us, dear Father, that once given the opportunity to help one another, that we have the will to do so in your name. We ask your hand to guide as we remember your words to aid the homeless, the hopeless, and the helpless. Lay your hands on them and lay your hands on us today. This we ask in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. To the Earl B. Dickerson Awards Committee, I thank you. The Chicago Bar Association President Honorable Mariam Ahmad. To the Executive Director of the Chicago Bar Association, Beth McMean, doing a great job. To the Chicago Bar Association, to Angie Cruz, to Ricardo Isla. We thank you all for making this event a successful one. Extraordinary people long have been part of Chicago's history. Their excellent and intellectual grit are evidence not just of the accolades and leadership position they accumulate, but also their willingness to confront complex problems, take up varied roles and responsibilities, rigorously challenging even firm-held beliefs, and push forward in the face of enormous challenge. The Lord's year of 1920 produced a milestone with the first Black person to earn a Juris Doctor degree from the University of Chicago, a great institution. Earl B. Dickerson became a lawyer and would produce changes in Chicago. His long career as a lawyer, businessman, civil rights leader helped change the city of Chicago. A great success for a 15-year-old who hopped a train from Canton, Mississippi in 1906. He died in 1986 at the age of 95. Honorable Earl B. Dickerson argued successfully before the U.S. Supreme Court in the Hansberry versus Lee case that eliminated racially restricted covenant in parts of Woodlawn in Chicago. That set the stage for elimination of such covenants nationwide. Mr. Dickerson was the first African-American president of the National Lawyers Guild, served on the NAACP National Board, and member of President Franklin Roosevelt's Fair Employment Practice Committee. Dickerson's impressive legacy and astounding career was the subject of a two-day conference at the University of Chicago Law School in April of 2020. The conference resolved that 3 of the distinguished faculty members would author a year-long Dickerson Centennial that was to include independent student research projects, exhibits, and other special events. Additional details are available on the University of Chicago Law School website. And if you want to learn more about Mr. Dickerson, you may first purchase and read the book, Earl B. Dickerson, A Voice of Freedom and Equality by Robert J. Blakely. Thank you. One of our recipients, Judge Coleman, Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman, a person I've known for a number of years. Judge Coleman is a United States District Court judge for the Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division. She was appointed in 2010 by then President Barack Obama. Prior to her appointment to the federal bench, Judge Coleman served as a justice of the Illinois Appellate Court, First District, having been elected in 2008. From 1996 to 2008, Judge Coleman was elected to serve as a Cook County Circuit Court judge. While a state court judge, Judge Coleman served as an instructor at New Judges Orientation, and the Illinois Supreme Court appointed her to the Civil Instruction Committee and the Committee on Civility. Prior to becoming a judge, she practiced as an assistant state's attorney, deputy state's attorney, and assistant U.S. attorney, where she tried hundreds of cases. She also wrote and argued cases before the Illinois Appellate Court, the Supreme Court, and the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeal. She serves as an adjunct professor of Northwestern University School of Law and the John Marshall Law School. Judge Coleman received her Juris Doctorate from Washington University School of Law in St. Louis, Missouri. We don't hold that against her, even though it's out of state, where she received a full tuition fellowship. Judge Coleman was named as Washington University's 2014 Distinguished Law Alum and inducted as Honorary Order of the Cough member in 2019. Judge Coleman has received numerous awards: the Justice John Paul Stevens Award, the Vanguard Award, the Mary Houghton Award, the Esther Rothstein Award, the Trailblazer Award. Judge Coleman was nominated for a Chicago Midwest Emmy Award for producing Bridging the Divide for the Chicago Bar Association, which highlighted the anniversary of the Civil Rights and Voter Rights Act. If you'd like to know more about Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman, you may go to the federal court. That's where she resides. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Honorable Sharon Johnson Coleman.
Thank you to the Chicago Bar Association, President Mariam Ahmad, Judge Ken Wright, the longtime chair of Dickerson Committee, for honoring me with this award. In addition to thanking you for this amazing Dickerson Award, I have to immediately make a confession. As a history major in college and the daughter of an African-American history professor, I'm embarrassed to admit that I had no extensive knowledge about Earl Burris Dickerson until 1996, when I attended my first Dickerson luncheon honoring one of my heroes, Jim Montgomery. I don't think I've missed a Dickerson luncheon since, not only because of the outstanding history-making recipients of this award, who are my role models as well as close friends and respected colleagues, but also because it allows me to reflect on the importance of Earl B. Dickerson and so many like him who have been trailblazers for our community in the legal profession. If not for him and so many of the previous awardees, I wouldn't be serving as a judge. While in this position, it is my duty to continue to model and remind people of this legacy. Earl Dickerson's entire career, and indeed his life, was devoted to legal justice and equality while making room for all Americans as equals in all aspects of society in general and the law in particular. His story is one of courage, from the physical risks he took to travel here from Mississippi to the racial inequality he faced in his education, the legal profession, and politics on the local and national level. Hopefully, by my word and deed, I can make certain that Earl Dickerson's legacy is not forgotten. I pledge to continue to focus on fairness and racial equality in my professional and personal interactions. I have attended to make certain that young lawyers are aware of his life and legacy much earlier than I was. I hope my law clerks, past and present, as well as externs and young people in general, are watching and will always remember his name and support this award. I'd be remiss in not thanking my husband, Wheeler Coleman, my daughter, Kara, in New York, and our son, James, and his wife, Joy Lynn, and our precious granddaughters, Jolie and Jaya, who might be watching, for their support of me in this amazing career I've been blessed to have. Once again, I am humbled to have my name associated with Earl Dickerson and many of the previous award winners. I am particularly pleased and give my heartiest congratulations to the Honorable David Coar and attorneys Patrick John and Greta Weathersby. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next recipient is the Honorable David H. Coar. The Honorable David H. Coar served as a United States District Judge for the Northern District of Illinois for 16 years, and as a United States Bankruptcy Judge for 8 years. From 1979 to 1982, he served as the first United States Bankruptcy Trustee in the Northern District of Illinois. As Associate Professor of Law at DePaul University College of Law, Judge Coar taught courses in ethics, corporation, corporate finance, constitutional law, labor law, and professional responsibility. As a practicing lawyer, Judge Coar represented private plaintiffs in the case that determined how Title VII impacted the merger of previously segregated lines of progression in the steel industry. Judge Coar has traveled extensively across the globe to consult on judicial and economic issues and has participated in educational programs for foreign judges in the United States and overseas. He has participated in programs in China, Russia, Nigeria, and Cameroon, sponsored by law schools, the National Center for State Courts, the U.S. Department of State, and the U.S. Department of Commerce. The Bar Association has praised Judge Coar for his excellent legal ability, handling of complex cases, integrity, and independence. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the Honorable David H. Coar.
It is a great honor to receive the Earl B. Dickerson Award, and I thank the Chicago Bar Association and congratulate my fellow awardees. One of my favorite proverbs is this: until the lion learns to write, all of the stories will glorify the hunter. I thought about that saying when I think about this award. Chicago has produced many great African-American lawyers, but their stories are not well known. They have, through the years, been some of the most effective lawyers in the city. And that's one of the reasons I thank the Chicago Bar Association, because they've helped, through the Dickerson Award, keep those stories alive. I invite you to, I don't have time to talk about all of the great lawyers in Chicago. I would invite you to take a look at past recipients of the Dickerson Award, but I also invite you to get a copy of Professor J. Clay Smith's excellent history of Black lawyers up until about 1948 to get a sense of what's been accomplished. But let me give you a quick example. Does anybody know who Chauncey Eskridge is? When I came to law school, when I came to Chicago for the first time to attend law school, I didn't know anyone in the city. My father told me that if I ever needed anything, I should call Chauncey and tell them to look out for me. It's payback for all the times that Chauncey came to Birmingham, my hometown, and slept on the couch in our little apartment in the projects. Chauncey had been a Tuskegee Airman and frequently came to Birmingham on the weekends. I decided to stop by his office one afternoon, and he was meeting, as it turned out, with Muhammad Ali about negotiations for an upcoming fight. Chauncey was Ali's lawyer. He'd represented in the past Joe Louis, Mahalia Jackson, Martin Luther King, and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and several other celebrities. He was part of the team that successfully argued Ali's conscientious objector case before the United States Supreme Court. Now, with that list of clients, you would think that everybody would know about Chauncey Eskridge, but I suspect few of you do. That's why we have to preserve those stories. And thank you again, Chicago Bar Association, for helping keep those stories alive, to honor the lawyers and repeat their stories so that there's a record that we can remember, and so that the hunter won't get all of the glory.
Our next recipient is the Honorable Greta Weathersby. Honorable, wonderful Greta Weathersby is a senior corporate counsel for WEC Energy Group, a leading Midwest electric and natural gas delivery company which serves 4.4 million customers across 4 states, including People Gas Light and Coke Company. She has more than 30 years of legal experience, both in-house and also as a former partner in a commercial litigation group of a large law firm. Weathersby has represented commercial clients in complex litigation, regulatory, general compliance, bankruptcy employment law, employee benefits, corporate transaction, data privacy, and cybersecurity matters. She's also lectured in many of these same legal areas. What makes her special is that I received at least 17 different lawyers have called to congratulate the Dickerson Committee on the selection of Greta Weathersby as one of the recipients, and at least 2 minority law firms have congratulated the Bar Association's Dickerson Committee on the selection of Greta Weathersby because she's kept them in business. Ms. Weathersby has been a distinguished member and active Chicago Bar Association during the tenure of 4 CBA presidents. Her outstanding committee and board service has been in the area of diversity and inclusion, leadership, implicit bias, alternative dispute resolution. She has served as a member of the CBA nominating committee, and she will serve again on the nominating committee for 2021. She's been elected to serve on the CBA Board of Managers from 2017 to 2019, and also is a certified CBA mediator. Currently, Attorney Weathersby served as co-chair of the CBA COVID-19 Member Recovery Committee, which has provided scores of CLE virtual training on topics such as gender bias, DACA, social responsibility, diversity and inclusion, and complex alternative resolution methodologies, and the like. She's also a member of Chicago Bar Association Foundation. She supports low-income citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take up all the time telling you about this wonderful person. And what makes her special to me is that she introduced me to her daughter, who's a great lawyer and a wonderful person. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Greta Weathersby.
I am so honored to be awarded the Earl B. Dickerson Award. I want to sincerely thank the Chicago Bar Association, Judge Wright, President Ahmad, and the leaders of the Chicago Bar Association who have decided that I should be listed among the prestigious, honorable African-American lawyers who were and are trailblazers in the legal profession and who have previously received the Dickerson Award. I am a beneficiary of the work of many of these trailblazers in voting rights, housing rights, desegregating schools, and I stand on their shoulders as I try to take the mission forward. In reviewing the life of Earl B. Dickerson, I noted that he was born in Mississippi and made his way to Chicago, and that part of his career was spent as a corporate attorney, but he was best known for addressing the divisive, racial, restrictive covenants that existed in the fine print. I too was born in Mississippi, and like many African Americans, my family migrated north to Chicago. In earlier times, African American lawyers were barred from many experiences, and separation was the law. I'm glad that in 2021, we're moving toward a more inclusive society, as evidenced by Vice President Kamala Harris, a Black woman sitting at the helm of our government. I too want to thank the Chicago Bar Association for being inclusive in its board, its programming and committees, with special support to Judge Mulroy, John Shakota, Tim Eaton, and Justice Hyman. When I first entered law school many years ago, I wanted to help the poor and underprivileged, as I had seen firsthand the impacts of discrimination, which led to economic despair and other serious consequences. Supporting greater civil rights and economic equity was the driving force behind my legal education, believing that this was the only avenue to effectuate change. However, my career took me to a corporate path, which has been successful. And what I've found is that those initial inspirations and past experiences never leave and lie underneath. They've compelled me in my career, even without the traditional civil rights litigation practice. In my corner of the corporate world, WEC Energy Group and People's Gas have both been very supportive of volunteerism and community service, with its corporate goals to promote and sustain a culture of diversity and inclusion. This has allowed me to dedicate time to support the work of charitable legal organizations. Working with Professor Josie Goff of Loyola University, a Dickerson awardee, allowed me to mentor diverse law students, as the need for more Black lawyers is important to be prepared to address the causes of the day. Similarly, working with the CBA COVID-19 Recovery Committee with Nina Fain, also a Dickerson awardee, allowed me to support the training of our legal peers on topics such as implicit bias, both in racial and gender quadrants. So many Chicagoans, both before and after the pandemic, have faced foreclosures, evictions, and bankruptcies, due in part to both racial and economic disparities. Being on the board of the Chicago Bar Foundation has shown me that lawyers from all practice areas can help, and the Chicago Bar Foundation represents justice in action. Wherever I find myself, whether in the courtroom, boardroom, or among friends, I try to speak honestly, boldly, yet diplomatically, with the principles of justice and equity in mind. There are many strong legal voices in Chicago, and I am proud and humbled to be considered a lawyer in the tradition of Dickerson, who is not afraid to speak while helping others gain equality and justice. Finally, I owe much of my success to my biggest supporters, my loving husband, Melvin, and our daughter, Sydney, who's also a civil litigation attorney in Chicago. Thank you again for this award.
Ladies and gentlemen, our last recipient, Patrick John. In June of 2020, Patrick became the first Black and first Christian president of the Decalogue Society of Lawyers, the nation's oldest Jewish bar association. The Decalogue Society is so far the only ethnic affinity bar association to elect a president from outside the affinity group of most of its members. Several of Patrick's articles condemning bigotry have been published in the Times of Israel. Examples include article entitled Confronting Anti-Semitism, What Would Jesus Do? And Enough is Enough, I Can't Breathe, an article he wrote in the wake of George Floyd killing. in which he created a new word, crupelectrum, to describe the unique discrimination that Blacks have suffered. Additionally, Pat volunteers with the Simon Center, whose mission is to eradicate the evil of bigotry and intolerance through widespread public education. In January 2020, Patrick wrote a screenplay called Jesus the Black Jewish Messiah. The screenplay is intended to provoke thought and discussion about how religion has been used to justify discrimination against Blacks and Jews. Patrick is originally from Guyana, South America, a place of incredible ethnic and religious diversity. He attended high school in Brooklyn, New York, and completed his undergrad degree at City College of New York in Harlem, where he majored in urban legal studies and minored in Black studies. Prior to law school, he served as an officer in the United States Coast Guard, where he was one of his duties was that of a civil rights officer. The civil rights officer, he conducted training in civil rights and investigated complaints of discrimination. He's a 1997 graduate of IIT Chicago Kent College of Law. His practice concentrates on family law. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our last recipient, the Honorable Patrick John.
I'm so honored and humbled to be a recipient of the Chicago Bar Association's Earl B. Dickerson Award. Earl Dickerson was a tireless and fearless advocate for civil rights. Many of the social justice issues that he championed so many years ago still plague our nation today. This terrible pandemic that we're in has pulled back the curtain and has laid bare for all to see the harsh reality that while we may all be on the same boat, we didn't get here with the same ticket. You may remember the poignant scene from a movie called Titanic. And in that scene, as the ship was sinking, the wealthy passengers had first-class tickets, and they were gently escorted to lifeboats, to safety and comfort. And while they were getting on those lifeboats, the musicians on the ship played music so that the wealthy people would be comforted and calmed and entertained. Ironically, those musicians did not have a first-class ticket. They had a second-class ticket. So they went down with the ship. You see, even back then on the Titanic, we've always had so-called essential workers. Lady Justice is supposed to be blind, but all too often she sees quite well. She still sees race, religion, color, gender, sexual orientation, and she definitely sees money. She knows who has it, and she knows who doesn't. And often, after she sees things, she then tilts the scales of justice in one direction or another. The Decalogue Society's motto is taken from Deuteronomy 16:20. Justice, justice shall you pursue. As Dr. King said many times, justice never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It must be earned and fought with each new generation. This terrible pandemic has aggravated pre-existing racial, economic, and political tensions. But in so doing, COVID-19 has held up to us a mirror so that we can see as a nation who we really are and not who we think we are. Let us have the courage to continue to look in the mirror, though the reflections are disturbing, and use the discomfort from those reflections to motivate us to continue to work together with people from different demographic groups within our bar associations, within our community organizations, within our houses of worship, so that we can dismantle injustice. Thank you for this honor, and congratulations to my fellow awardees.
And now I must conclude this auspicious event with words of gratitude for your support and encouragement, for your continued effort to heed, follow, and amplify the ideals set and practiced by Earl Burris Dickerson. Let us never forget to love, honor, and respect one another as we love, honor, and respect ourselves. As we were taught by our parents, teachers, and people of faith, let us thank the individuals honored today with the Dickerson Award for putting these principles into practice for all of us to see. Thank you.